Okay, so in this shower we're going to be installing a single mixing valve, and then we're going to be using what I really love and I think is a really easy installation is the Kohler Hydro Rail. So basically we're just going to be installing one valve with a single shower port, and then everything connects onto that after the tile is installed. So it really reduces the expense because you're just having just a mixing valve. You're not getting a separate diverter valve. That'll be all incorporated with the Hydro Rail system. So we're going to be doing a standard 36-inch wide shower. So inside the shower itself is going to be 36 inches. Now this is going to be a weedy shower system, so you want to make sure that you fit the dimensions of the pan that you bought and pay attention to the center of where your drain is. So in this instance, we're basically 18 inches from the edge of my wall. So yeah, it'll be 36 inches. So I want to set my actual valve at 18 inches, which ends up being right in the middle of this stud. So I'm gonna have to cut out some of these studs, or notch them out, I should say. And basically what I want to have my backing on this is 2 inches away from the front of my framing. Because basically the way this valve works is anywhere in between here and here is the finished wall. So you have basically a 1-inch variance, 3/4 of an inch, I'd say, difference. So you just don't want to have the finished wall going beyond this. Now, again, most of the time, your wall thickness is between 1 inch and 1.25 inches, depending on how thick your tile is and then how much thin set. But it's going to be 1/2 inch backer, 3/8 inch tile, and typically about 1/8 inch of thin set. But that can vary depending on, how straight your wall is and whether you basically add more thin set underneath of it to make your tile lippage free. So in this instance, I mean, you got an inch difference here, so it's no big deal. So basically, as long as I get this on a 2x4, 2 inches behind this wall, I should be able to fit within that, basically meet right in the middle of this flange. So it makes it simple, just being able to put a 2x4 in a standard wall. If you put a 2x4 right against your back drywall, it's going to be set at the right depth. All right, so then for the valve placement, I always recommend about 48 inches to center. So we're going to cut out a section here for it. So these studs go all the way up through, and this is a partition wall. That's why this wall was like this. So this corner is going to be really filled with a lot of screws on the other side. So what I'm going to end up having to do for my shower head is I'm going to have to divert it over, up, and then back over to where my shower head height is, because I can't just take out this stud. There's too many nails on the other side. I'll end up destroying whatever's on the other side of this wall. So we're just going to cut this with a circular saw first. Okay, so this is going to be fairly simple. Just a matter of putting some female adapter PEX fittings onto this. So we'll go ahead and put the Teflon tape on our fittings here. It actually might be easier just to remove this housing here. Okay, so you want to go clockwise with your Teflon tape. Four to 5 revolutions. Okay, then we want to use a little bit of pipe sealant on this, and this just helps ensure a leak-free installation. So you put that on after you get the Teflon tape on. Okay, so then what we want to do is just cap the tub spout. We're just going to plug the bottom port of this, and there's no indication on here of up or down, so we'll be fine with just capping one of these. Okay, so we're just going to cap the bottom. So just got a little plug end on here. I'm going to stick that right here at the bottom. So always use your no-go-go gauge and make sure that these fit. I'll go ahead. Okay, so we'll just drill a hole through here for the cold line. Okay, so we're gonna put an elbow on this guy and bring it up and over. But for right now, let's go ahead and get this screwed in. As far as the height goes, I would go 82 inches off the floor. So something right about here. And we're gonna have to notch out that stud in order for it to be centered. Okay, so we just basically just put an elbow on this. As long as that's behind your framing, and be able to get that port in there, because basically it's just a straight port that will connect into this, and then the rail will come down. So it's a fairly easy installation because you just literally just connect it to your existing shower port. Okay, so we're just gonna put a test port in here to test our fittings. Okay, so this is a good time before we even put that excussion plate together, put a temperature reading on here. So you want to be below 120 degrees. Okay, so the way that this guy works, very simple. So when you turn it on, you can see where it stops it from getting any hotter. So if you want to turn it down, just turn it off and move this device clockwise. Now you can just keep going at each little tab. So basically the way the grooves are on this handle receiver, if you can just move this basically stopper another peg, it'll get like a degree Kohler. But basically all it's going to do is prevent this from getting any hotter. So you have to get the temperature and adjust accordingly. But yeah, this is pretty simple device. You just keep turning this clockwise until you get it down to where it's below 120 degrees. Another way to do this is to have it all the way up to hot, okay, and then turn it down so that's below 120 degrees, and then stick this on here and just have this up against that stopping tab. So that might be a more accurate way to go about it, is just turning it all the way up to the temperature you want it, take this out, and then place it up against that tab. So it's ultimately important to be below 120 degrees. It's primarily because of code and in all of the liabilities associated with it. If you're a contractor and you're installing a faucet for somebody, you can be liable for scalding somebody if you don't have this turned down correctly. So I highly advise you just getting a little thermometer and making sure that this is below 120 degrees so that your clients are safe and that you're protected. Okay, can you see these tabs here?
No, I can.
Okay. So one important thing about these Kohler valves, and it can be confusing, so they have these little tabs here. So you can see right here, this tab. These need to be facing towards the valve. That'll turn these on fully. I was a little confused about this when I first put this together. I was only getting half pressure. So if you make sure that these tabs are facing towards the valve, that means it's on. Okay, so depending on what type of valve you use, you might be using this, you might not. Basically, this is just a plate with a rubber gasket that's going to seal against your wall. So sometimes the valves that you buy, you'll be able to put screws in and anchor it, or you put this adapter on it and you just place this tightly to that. And if you had a rough tile surface for any reason, it might not be a bad idea to silicone around here, but I feel pretty comfortable with this nice smooth tile for this to bond well. Okay, so then this guy goes on here, and then there's two different styles here. So it depends on how far out your valve is, as far as depth goes. But typically, the larger one that sinks in further works. So you just want to make sure that this is nice and square so that your handle is correct. And just make sure you use a hand driver for this. You don't want to be using an impact driver or anything to connect this. And just take a look at whether this is going to... Yeah, so that works out fine. So you basically just take your sleeve, and then we're going to be in the off position. Your extrusion plate's nice and level. Okay. Just make sure that works. Okay. And our final piece is the shower head. As long as you have that rubber gasket in there, you shouldn't have to use any Teflon tape for this. But you always want to test it, make sure. So I hope this demonstration's helped you out and gave you a little bit of indication of what it is to install a Kohler valve. Please leave a comment below if you have any questions about your own shower system. And check out the links below. I have a checklist with all the materials and all the tools that you would need to accomplish this job. Also, I have a video link for that actual hydro rail shower system installation, so be sure to check that out. Give me a like and subscribe if you haven't. I have a lot more great content coming up, so I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.